fell into sake partly because I did go to Japan on a business trip, drank my first sip, spilt it all over my Vera Wang dress, which I still have, and there's still a stain that will never come off, and I never wore that dress again. And there you go, first start in sake. Uh,
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 32 of Sugidama Podcast, the podcast about Japanese sake, the drink so deep and exciting that you can even get a degree by studying it. Well, probably a degree in Japan, but there are plenty of opportunities to study it outside Japan. And today we are going to talk about sake education with Marie Cheong-Thong, a WSET certified sake educator, freelance writer, and the chairman of the British Sake Association, among other things she does. But before I play our conversation, let me tell you about our sponsor, London Sake, which has one of the widest selections of premium and craft sake available online today. You can choose from over 100 sake from 25 breweries, and they will deliver across the UK and many European markets. And if you don't know what sake to choose, you can use simple online tasting notes together with very sensible and affordable food pairings to help you decide. What's more, you can get a 10% discount by just using the code SUGIDAMA, all caps, during checkout. London Sake, making sake simple. My name is Alex and I live in London. I am a certified sake specialist, sake judge, sake educator, and sake advocate. Besides this podcast, I have Sugidama blog, where I write about all things sake, publish tasting notes, overviews, and information about sake events happening in London. So, I'm not going to list all of Marie's qualifications and titles, because it will take some time, and she will tell us more about her background during our conversation anyway. And I will put a link to her website in the show notes. I first met Marie at a British Sake Association event a few years ago, and also judged with her for the last 2 years at the IW Sake competition. She is an amazing person, very knowledgeable, very approachable, and very interesting to talk with. So without further delay, let's listen to my conversation with Marie.
Please welcome our guest.
Hello, Marie. How are you?
Hello, Alex. I'm good, thank you very much. How are you? Nice seeing you.
Yeah. We just we saw each other not long time ago, but yeah, it's very nice to see you, and thanks a lot for agreeing to be on my podcast. It's really great.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's an honor. So we'll probably start with your background. Could you tell our listeners what is your background, how you ended up
Got to where I am
in
today.
sake?
Sure. Yeah, I have been in around the world for a very long time. I started off life as a botanist from Imperial College. Very quickly realized that there aren't many jobs for botanists, and very quickly did a master's. Spent 6 years of my misspent youth of 20s working for the IT world in the city of London, till one day I woke up and realized, you know what? This is not what I want. So I chucked it all in, did my cordon bleu and my WSET at the same time, and got both diplomas with distinctions a long time ago, and was asked to do my Master of Wine. But being, in your 20s, I decided, nah, boring. Instead, I got married, went to Boston, spent 2 years in Boston researching wines and food and enjoying life, and came back to London with a baby in tow. With that, couldn't work. I couldn't get a single job. Every job I applied to, I didn't get. So left it, continued researching. 7 years later, when son went to boarding school, I had a stint in a PR firm, wine, and was spotted by a master of wine there
Hmm.
who suddenly turned around to me and said, Marie, haven't seen you on the judging scene. Where are you? What are you doing? And I said, me judging? Huh? Okay, well, nope, I'm nowhere to be seen. And the next thing I knew was I was invited to judge at IWC, where I've been judging now for I think, over 16 years. So that's where life started, judging wines, and fell into sake, partly because I did go to Japan on a business trip, drank my first sip, spilt it all over my Vera Wang dress, which I still have, and there's still a stain that will never come off, and I never wore that dress again. Um, and there you go, first start in sake. uh, Decided to look into sake and went up to Chris Ashton to say, Chris, I'd like to judge. And he said, yeah, sure, you can judge. Next year, we'll put you in. Sadly, next year, at the time of judging, I was asked to judge in Europe
Oh.
and turned him down, which wasn't clever, but I had to turn him down. And the following year, when I said, Chris, I'd like to judge, he goes, oops, Marie, things have all changed. You go get your diploma or your WSET sake certificate. When you get that, I'll let you in. So with very quivering lips on the phone, I just said, okay, then I'll do it. And promptly went on to Natsuki's course. I think it was her second ever. Passed it, and it was 1 week before IWC. And I rang Chris and I said, Chris, I got it. What are you going to do about it? And he goes, right, okay, you're in. So I've been judging ever since. And that was, I can't even remember. I think that was probably like 2015, 14, 15, maybe 15, 16. And that's how life started. And I'm here now with WSET. In 2017, I was invited to take up the educator place in Tokyo. So I flew and joined the second group, I think, of educators. And it was fun. It was great
Hmm.
and learned a lot. And today I now teach the WSET course as well as a couple of other courses, Alex. That's where I stand. It's boring, it's long.
Yeah, but it's quite fascinating. I didn't know that sake leaves stains.
Yes, don't ever. Oh my God, this was a silk dress, Vera Wang, and it was just a plain blue dress. And there's now a whole long trickle because it was some huge celebration, and the sake was in the wooden masu. And of course, when you
Oh.
drink from a wooden masu on a corner with a pinch of salt, and this was the original when was it, 1985, 1984? Probably a lot of the listeners weren't even born then yet.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
do not spill sake on silk dresses.
Yeah, it's a good tip. It's a great tip. Um, so, do you consider you did wine, you did sake? Do you consider you're a person of both worlds, or you gravitated to one of them?
No, I haven't actually, Alex. I've kept everything open. I've kept options open because I am interested not just in sake, but also wine and spirits. As you know, I am now the spirits judging committee member for
Yeah.
IWSC. So I judge spirits, I teach spirits. I'm going to be on doing the WSET spirit presentation at Imbibe in a few weeks' time, running their Baiju session. So yeah, spirits is fine. I've just finished doing a 2.5 hour presentation at the Cordon Bleu on drinks and food matching. So food is something I do as well, and of course wine is in my blood. And as you know, it's always sake, shochu, wine, everything together because everything's good to drink.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great attitude.
Never say no, Alex.
Yeah,
Always give everything a try, because you just don't know what you can be good at. And I say can be good at because a lot of people don't understand that just doing a course, uh, doesn't mean that you're going to be good at it. Getting all the pieces of paper, every single piece of paper that you can get, doesn't mean you're going to be good at it at teaching or whatever. It's there for you to use, and it's what you make of it, in this world that catapults you to what you should be doing in life. Or I say should be because there's so many things one can do.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Absolutely agree with that. Um, with sake, do you remember what sake it was? I guess you don't, because it's yes,
Well,
and
for the
years ago.
celebration one, you mean the one that's
Yeah.
you're really interested in my Vera wine dress, aren't you? I still have it. It's still in the cupboard, and I swear,
Yeah, we can analyze
goodness.
it.
And what sake did I drink? It's probably some cheap taruzake put
Mm,
into a wooden, a little
yeah.
wooden masu with a pinch of salt. I do remember the pinch of salt. I couldn't tell you what sake it was. There were like 1,000 people in, which hotel was it? The New Otani. In those days, it was really new. And
Hmm.
it was a huge, huge, huge presentation for some IT company that I
I
was
see.
sent out to. Yeah.
So
Don't ask me about the dress anymore. I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
less hurt.
Um, but did you have like because I remember I first tried sake, I wasn't really impressed. I go, okay, I tried it and it's fine, and tried second time, a different occasion, and it's again it wasn't something. And then I went to this Japanese embassy tasting,
Yes.
after the IWC, and I was blown away with its
Mhm.
quality, and it was like my aha moment. Did you have any kind of aha moment
Okay.
yourself?
Okay. Well, when I started drinking sake, it was as I said, it was 85. Okay. I knew hardly anything about it. I did my WSET in 88. So basically, I was in my early 20s. I was very young, and in Japan, sake wasn't the thing to drink in those days. Women drank shochu, highballs.
Oh,
We had sort of very fresh. My favorite drink till today is still a shochu with sweet potato shochu with grapefruit juice and a splash of soda water. So in those days, sake wasn't a lady's drink. Okay, so it was just used as a celebration. So that's what I did. Having said that, rolling on the time forward, WSET level 3, that opened my eyes. Like you, sitting on the course, I thought sake was sake was sake. Yeah, it's something Japanese, and heck, I can't read it. So you just drink whatever is given to you, or when you go to a restaurant, all you can do is look at the price, as as a non sake expert would do, and you're guided by what the prices and by what it says on the menu, which sometimes isn't great in foreign countries. And in Japan, is even worse because a lot of it is written in Japanese. But we're not going down that route. So sakes and what I like, basically with almost 40 different bottles. When I teach, I actually offer about 40 to 45 bottles. So you're sitting there, newbie to sake, you want to learn all about it, you come on a course because you get to taste over 40 bottles of sake. You are taught what to look for. You are taught what it's all about. So it was then that I realized, wow, the world has opened to me in terms of sake. So, like you say, yeah, it wasn't till you actually see what's available, till you actually learn about the different styles, the different types. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're not just talking Japanese sake anymore. We're talking worldwide sake.
yeah,
Look at
exactly.
Kampai in London, look at Awasake, look at Dojima, and that's three in the UK alone.
Yeah,
Then you've got America, you've got Brazil, and I say Brazil because I just tasted an amazing sake from Brazil. There's Mexican sake, which isn't bad. And then Australia, Canada,
New
um,
Zealand.
New Zealand, Australia. Yeah, exactly. Even Spain.
Yeah, yeah, Spain.
That
Exactly.
those two guys in Spain are fantastic. I tried to visit. the one in Barcelona, Antonio Campin's brewery, but sadly he couldn't take me there in December because it was closed. But I will go there. His sakes are amazing. So what I'm trying to say, Alex, is that there's sake, and there's sake, and they're all delicious.
Yeah,
How's that?
yeah, yeah. Sounds good. Sounds great. So you are also vice president of the British Sake Association, right?
I'm the chairman
Oh,
of the British
chairman.
Sake.
You're
I am
chairman.
now the
Sorry.
chairman of British Sake Association. Yes, Alex.
Okay.
No,
So
it's only a few months ago. Let's
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Probably couldn't keep up with that.
No probs, no probs.
I think Sarah is making good job, like probably
Oh,
making like
Sarah is
more
amazing.
communications from the
Uh, yeah, I mean,
association.
basically, I was a board director for 5 years, and I was elected to chairman just late last year. That's probably why, and I haven't actually um, made it known because I don't think it matters whether you're a chairman or just a member. It doesn't matter. The British Sake Association is friendly, as you probably know.
Oh
We're
yeah.
very inclusive, and what we're trying to do is to just spread the word of sake to as many people as we can. And my job there is to try and get as many different types of sakes, if I can, introduce them. We have got lots of distributors now working with us, and members do get a very, very good benefits package. It's very cheap. It's only £30 a year, as you know.
Yeah.
But my new team of Sarah, Henry, Harriet, and we will bring on a couple more people because it's grown so big. So yeah, Alex, good thinking. Anybody who wants to learn more about sake, do come and join us. I've created a new sake study group. Only full members can join, and we will introduce a lot more sakes. I have got this batch of sakes that was sent to me from Japan.
Hmm.
I can't remember. I haven't looked at it yet, but it's the 6 different rice made in the
Okay.
same way.
Wow.
So that's on the
Yeah.
cards. And then Den Sake in San Francisco sent me a few bottles, and he's playing with your white koji and your yellow koji, nama,
Yeah.
non-nama. So these are things that are coming on to the study group, and yeah, I would love to see a lot more people. We have a lot of lovely events. Next Friday, I don't know whether this podcast will go out in time, but we're running a Noguchi sake, as we all know how amazing that is, matched with 5 dishes cooked by an ex fat duck chef. Isa is fantastic. He's a gem. I found him out of the blue, but he has orchestrated the menu. And
Mhm.
we've of course we've got Ollie, who's also on the committee of BSA doing the session. He's importing it in. What else can I tell you? Yeah, there's lots and lots and lots of interesting things. There's going to be a grand tasting in October where hopefully we will try and gather as much sakes as we can through contacts at Sake Samurai, the JSSA, through Rie Yoshitake, who is an
Mhm.
amazing lady who has been such a great person to have on our side, trying to help us get sakes for the masses. And when I say masses, I mean guests and members to try.
Great. I will definitely put the link on the show notes to the BSA, to British Sake Association, so people can
Yes, come and
probably,
talk to us. And of
yeah,
course,
to join.
you yourself are a member,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I am a member,
and
and
we,
definitely it's a
I'd love
great.
for you to be more involved with us. And anybody else who wants to be more involved, please just come and talk to us. The committee are very, very friendly, and if there's any ideas and whatever that members want and yourself you want to do, come talk to us. We're open.
Great, great.
Sugidama blog.
Okay, so let's move to the main topic of our conversation, sake
Mm,
education. And could you tell what are the different types of sake education exist in, let's say, around here?
okay.
I guess in Japan, probably there are more places.
Yeah, sure. Okay, in terms of education, there is education and there's education, as we all know, right? There are loads and loads of fantastic books that you can buy online from bookstores, and Michael Tremblay has just literally published a new book. So there you go. So that's one thing you can do. If you're a bit tight of money at the moment, which a lot of us are, go and buy a book. I mean, there's some fantastic authors, people like John Gardner, to name a few. I mean, he runs courses and he's written loads and loads of books. You've got Gautier, you've got Michael Tremblay, and I don't know. I mean, you probably have a whole list of books that you can
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
on your thing. So, number one, go get a book. All right. And also, I'm about to finish writing my ebook.
Wow. I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
forward.
I won a I won a bursary from the Guild of Food Writers last year, so I've got a little pot of money that's been given to me to publish a book, and it's going to be on, of course, sake, but I'm spreading out a bit more, talking about food and culture, and there's actually going to be like translations and a dictionary and glossary to work with, and it's going to be a very cheap book because I want it to go out to masses. It's not about earning money. It's not about anything. It's about education. It's about uh, spreading knowledge. So that's one thing. Go get a book. Secondly, you can look at courses. Now, in terms of suppliers, there aren't that many. You've got WSET number one, and they are probably the best known in this side of um, Europe. So you've got WSET that runs two courses, a level one and a level three. The level one is a 1 day course, and I tend to teach it over 2 days because I think it's important that grounding, you get the grounding with any other course because everything is in English. It's easy to absorb. But with sake and Japanese and anything that is from Asia, you've got to deal with the language, you've got to deal with the names. So a little extra time doesn't help. So WSET level one, I do it in 2 days. That takes you through the basic. What is sake? How it's roughly produced, the different styles, different categories. You get to taste about 10 bottles, and then you take an exam. And it's a purely multiple choice exam. So that's number one. Then, when you feel, ooh, I'm good at sake, you can then come into level three. Level three is normally a 3.5 day course at WSET, but I like to teach it in 4 days. I think, again, 4 days over 2 weeks, and normally 2 weekends, so that you get a bit of time to absorb. Now, level three is a lot harder. To start the course, you have to do prerequisite work. So you've got pre-course work, you've got videos to watch, you have got little quizzes to do, and you do not come on the course till you've done this, because if you don't, you will suffer. All right. So uh, I think you're given at least 2 weeks to do this course, or more time if you book ahead. And then you come to me. You then have 4 days, intensive 4 days. 2 days, the first day is a summary of what you have done and a bit more. Then you go through your ingredients, you go through your production, then you go through your styles, you taste over 40 sakes, and then with level three, you are learning how to make sake rather than just I know what sake is. So it's about how you make different types of sakes, what kind of yeast you would use, what kind of koji you would use, why you do such things. You look at temperature, you look at fermentation time, and of course you look at prefectural differences, north versus south, east versus west. And then the examination consists of three different papers. One is your blind tasting, second paper is your multiple choice, and thirdly, your short questions. So that's level three, WSET.
Okay, before we continue, let me remind you about London Sake, our sponsor, and their huge selection of curated sake sets, which provide a great opportunity to explore various styles and types of sake. Have a look But don't forget about the magic word Sugidama, all caps, to get your 10% discount.
Then let's look at other suppliers. On the more sort of Japanese style, you've got SSI, which is the Sake Service Institute course. That is in a way different to WSET because it gives you a bit about history, the history of sake, how it actually came about, which is always good to know. And then you go through your, again, ingredients, your production, which is taught slightly differently. Um, and then your tasting, which is very different. The WSET way of tasting is your SATs. Yeah, whereas with the SSI, it's a very different style of quadrant tasting. So that's the main difference. And then, of course, the exam is sort of, again, slightly different. I would say, um, yeah, actually, no, you get the same information out of you. But there you go. So that's SSI. And then you have got the Sake School of America, who's got a sort of a pre-course to the
Mm-hmm.
SSI. So there is the Sake Advisor course, which you can do. And that is also very interesting. And if you're going to go down that route, you probably do the Sake School of America course, get yourself more attuned to the more Japanese style of learning and history. And what else was in there? There's more sort of history, a bit about food pairing, which
Mm.
WSET doesn't go so much into because Sake Service Institute is about the service, how you serve the sake. There's a lot more sommelier style learning there. And then lastly, you have got your Sake Sommelier Association, which is not as well known in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
though it is, I think, better provided for in France. Although over here, I think the Cordon Bleu uses that system as opposed to WSET.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those are courses. And then, of course, your ultimate course is your JSA, which is the Japanese Sake Academy. That is a monster of a course.
Mm-hmm.
It was started in only in Japanese, but it's now deemed as a course that you can take and do the exam in English. Um, Not a course for everybody, but certainly for those who are more geeky and who can actually memorize, that's the course to go for. You will be expected to know villages and rivers and all the different types of
Mm-hmm.
rice and that kind of stuff. So that's that. And then Michael Tremblay created a course of his own about, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, I
COVID
think so.
sort of messed us up a lot. So Michael has got this amazing course. He now teaches it in London, and it's actually a collaboration with British Sake Association. We are linked with him in the sense that we will always collaborate with him on this course and help him run it. And we have all the information. And Michael will probably be doing this course once a year in London. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the main courses. John Gortner has a course, but he doesn't teach it in London. I think he now teaches it more online than in person. Oh, and time out. Let's look at how courses are run. I've mentioned all the courses. What I haven't mentioned is that because of COVID, things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people are running courses online. So, for instance, with WSET level one, you can now do it totally online based on studies, online study. Everything's online. And then when you're ready, you just take the exam online. Um, I was teaching level one and three as a sort of a joint online, and then you come to me just for all the tastings and revision. John Gortner has been teaching online courses, big online courses around the world. Michael has taught his course online as well. Sake School America, again, two courses, both courses I teach, the sake and the shochu, I have been teaching it online, but that will be that's going to start in person in the UK. Okay,
Yeah.
enough, Alex.
Yeah,
Has
it's
that sort
quite
of
a
killed
lot.
everybody?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a quite a great choice to if you want to know about sake, if you want to understand sake, depending on your level. You can go to some basic like WSET level 1 or Sake School of America, or you can
Absolutely.
go to the next level and things like that and progress if you get interested. Yeah, I think it's quite good. I'm wondering, you have been teaching for a while. So, what kind of people come? What do they want to achieve?
Oh, good question. Okay, very interesting one, Alex, because I don't actually have my own APP in one school. I teach for about, at the moment, I teach for 4 different schools,
Hmm.
okay, in the UK, and they're all very different. So, WSET itself, where I have taught on and off, because Natsuki is the main educator there, they tend to be from the on trade, okay, and of course off trade as well, sommeliers and distributors whose staff need to be aware of what sake is. So you've got that group, and
Hmm.
then you have got the
So, on
wine
trade is restaurants, and off
restaurants
trade it's
is for
shops.
distributors
Yeah,
and shops and
yeah.
whatever. So,
Mhm.
they have staff that need to know about sake, and they're very keen, and they really do their homework. And also more recently, because there are more than one sake competition in UK and in Europe, competition staff have started the need to learn about sake.
Oh
So
yeah.
you've got that as well. So um, who do I get in my classes? I've had a number of staff from competitions. I have actually taught quite a few members of yeah. I won't. I'm not going to mention names, but yeah, of the big competitions, I've had quite a few of their staff coming to me. I have had wine. Master of wines and the wine professionals wanting to
Hmm.
learn about sake. So I've had quite a few of them. I've also had enthusiasts like myself, yourself,
Hmm.
people who actually want to learn about sake, but not necessarily wanting to go into the trade. So they do very, very well because they've got very clean palates, and they're very eager to learn. And students, over COVID, I've had a lot of university
Really?
students who have a bit more time on their hands. And because I was teaching the course via Zoom,
Hmm.
um, we were able to do that. And not just from London, obviously. I had students from Scotland and Manchester and Stafford and places like that. So it can be anybody, any
Hmm.
age. The youngest student, the youngest I had was my own daughter who did my course. Um, got a distinction out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the oldest, um, I think he was probably close to 70, and he
Oh.
got a distinction out of it too.
Yeah.
So, so that's your profile and color creed. I've had everybody.
Hmm. Okay. I remember when I was doing my Kiksakeshi SSI course.
Mhm,
Obviously, we talked about at the beginning why we want to do that. Everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that."
mhm.
And so, what do people usually say? What
You
is
know
the
what, Alex?
main, like a
I don't
top
I don't
top?
ask them because
Oh, you
I
don't.
think it's very unfair.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all I want to when a student comes to me in the class, they're all only given 1 minute to talk about themselves.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I don't want any. We don't need prima donnas. We don't need people who want to say where they are, whatever. So it's literally 1 minute about yourself,
Hmm.
and I do not ask what you want to do with sake after because you know what, no pressure.
Yeah.
Enjoy it
Of course.
like what I did, I did it. Oh, well, in my case, I did it because I wanted to judge in that competition.
Yeah.
Okay, but a lot of people who come on the definitely level ones, they just want to enjoy the sake.
Hmm.
Level three, it costs a lot of money. Totally agree there. So they do sort of they spend time learning it. But I had a a lawyer, and he was a very well known. He wasn't a solicitor; he was a barrister.
Hmm.
Okay, who came to do it because he just wanted to learn about sake. I've had bankers from City of London coming to me to do it, and no, they're not necessarily going to go into sake or anything. They just want to be able to go to a
Yeah.
restaurant, order, and understand what they're ordering. I guess.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
most of
makes
them have
sense.
come to join the BSA. So I actually have a lot of students who I see all the time. Oh, I've
Hmm.
had dentists. I've had dentists doing the course. I've had doctors. You name it,
Yeah.
we've had them.
So everybody basically from all kind of backgrounds. Some of
Mm,
them want to just to know more about sake. Some people probably have to do it because of their jobs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
in my case, they mainly do it because they enjoy the drink.
Hmm.
Okay. Because the schools I teach for are mainly wine schools,
Okay. Yeah.
and so yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's quite interesting. So, what is the, let's say, top main areas you teach people about sake? What is like if you, like, say, like a 3, 5 blocks, main blocks, which probably similar to all courses or.
Okay, what in my courses, what I want to teach a student, what to me is important is that they memorize the styles, right?
Mhm,
And they memorize the categories because unless you have that, there's no point like coming to learn about sake. As we know, there are 8 categories, and if you can't even remember Jumai Daiginjo and its polish rate from whatever to whatever, or what a honjozo is, then you've lost the plot. Okay, and everybody comes out. That's fine. And then the different styles, whether it's a cloudy sake, whether it's an old sake, whether it's whatever, that's what you must come out with if
mhm,
you want to know about sake. And then I guess a little bit about how it's made. I mean, you look at a nigori sake, we all know it's cloudy sake, but you sit there thinking, huh, is that straight out of the pot? And the answer is no. There are rules in sake making. All sake has got to be pressed. All sake, whether it's pressed very finely or coarsely, all sake has to be pressed. So you then know, oh yeah, nigori, it is still pressed. And then koshu, we all know that koshu means all sake. Um, and how it's made, how it's stored, how it's we know that it's got to be at least 3 years old to be considered a proper koshu. But there are some koshus that are, although are 20 years old, been stored at minus, I don't know, minus 20, minus 10, and when it's brought out, it's a koshu. Technically, it's a
mhm,
koshu because it's an old sake, but when you drink it, it's as fresh as it was brewed last week. So these are things that I try and put through to my students to make them understand that there is no right or wrong, as we
mhm,
know. Rule of thumb, I teach you these are the basics, but we can vary. I mean, we're all taught about yeast, where we're told that they all have to come from the 2 different institutions, but actually in today's world there are brewers that are playing around with yeast. They are playing with flowers, they're playing with wine yeast. So again, you have to teach your students that, although it's not in the exam as it were.
mhm,
So for me it's a fine line, and trying to teach what I know as opposed to what the book wants you to know for an exam. So, as an educator, you have to sit there and you've got to understand what you're trying to do. I mean, there
mhm,
are, I could teach you all about amazing breweries and their techniques, but there's no point because you come to me on a course, you got to pass the exam. I want you to get an amazing mark for the exam. So, heck, we're going to stick to that
mhm.
journey. Come to the British Sake Association, then I'll teach you about all the other things.
Yeah, yeah, sounds fair.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think are the most difficult topics in sake to understand for your students?
The most difficult topics to understand, not because they're difficult, but because of the language issues here, is koji making. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, most of my students suffer when, as soon as we talk koji, it just blows their mind. And you know what? It's not difficult. And I have, after teaching all these years, I have now devised a method for them to learn. So yeah, koji, the mysterious, amazing, magical substance, is the one to crack.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, fermentation and everything else is the same. We know, it's no different to wine and beers and whatever. But koji,
Okay, yeah, Koji is the most, and obviously to memorize all the names.
yeah,
I think the names of like categories and grades and types, because I remember when I started drinking sake and obviously trying to learn about it. I just wrote down all the names and it was like a constantly referring to my notes to remember because
it's difficult.
yeah, but
So you just buy
yeah,
my
yeah,
book when it comes out, Alex. This is what I'll tell
yeah.
people. I mean, my little book will have all this kind of stuff, both in kanji, in romaji, in English,
Hmm.
and it's going to be there looking at you. I'm not going to tell you any more about the book because it's happening now. Thank God, with the wonderful opening of Japan to tourists.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the language. Language is the biggest issue, and learning even how to read Junmai Daiginjo on a bottle, and
Yeah.
but that comes very quickly. In 4 days with me, you will come out reading all that and understanding, and not walk around saying Jun. The famous one is Junmai. Instead of Daiginjo, they go Junmai Dai Jingo. And I'm sitting there, no,
Yeah.
no, no, not Jingo. It's not a Jingle Bells. It's a Daiginjo.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
But no, we do it.
Yeah. So do you have, obviously you got some kind of connection with your students. You probably follow them in a way after they graduated. So where
Where have they gone? Okay, well,
yeah.
um, uh, of the recent ones, one actually now owns a lovely, very upmarket izakaya in Berlin. Okay. If
Hmm.
you ever go there, you've got to go to her izakaya. What she knows about sake is amazing, amazing, amazing. I think she's probably one of the best students I have. She now imports crazy sakes, and she's doing very, very well there. I have got another student who's actually opened up a sake and wine school, and knows more about WSET than I do, which is amazing. And what I say to my students, I think this is the difference, Alex, with me as an educator, as opposed to a lot of my colleagues, is that on day one, I tell them that I would be so proud, no prouder than anything, if they can overtake me and become better than me. And I expect that from all my students, because I haven't been a good educator. I haven't done my job well if my students cannot overtake me as they go into their journey with sake.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
That
it's
I think
great.
that as an educator, that is the most important thing, Alex. I mean, I would never hold back any kind of information. Whatever I know, it gets passed on. And I really, really, really want to see all my students do better than I could ever have done.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's a great attitude because obviously, if they're doing, let's say, better than you,
Mm.
then
Then,
it means
then I've
that you
done my
taught
job
them
well.
very well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they cannot be better than I am, then my job as an educator was rubbish. I mean, and that's the honest
No,
truth.
I bet.
That's something that is almost, if you can't do that, if you can't teach, then don't do it. Is my, as an educator, you got to give your all. At the end of any session I've done, I am so tired, so tired, but I can go to bed and I can sleep well because I know I have taught them everything I know.
You give them your all, basically, all right?
Yeah, you have to give your all as an educator, not just
Yeah.
stand there and read from a book or read off uh, a whatever slide. I mean, I always the other tip as an educator is that I only use slides that the course provider gives me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel
Okay.
that is what they've paid for. Those are the slides that I will use. And there's a reason why those slides are given, because they have been thought through. There are, like, a whole bunch of people behind the scenes actually creating the course. So they know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
it's up to
Yeah.
you as the educator to understand what they are trying to do. Yeah. And if you can't
Mm-hmm.
understand that and teach that properly, then you haven't done a good job either. So you're looking at me now from an educator rather than
Yeah.
in sake. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. So, from your opinion, do you see the change in interest for sake? Do you see the increasing interest for sake outside Japan, or it's pretty much at the same level as it has been for
Oh God,
years?
it's increasing. My goodness, it's
Mm.
been amazing. I mean, I got into sake, as I said, probably proper sake 2015 when I did the course, and in those days, so few people knew about sake, and I mean it. I mean, we're talking a handful, and in London, the sake market was pretty much struggling. The only place you could get sake, fresh sake,
Mhm.
proper drinking sake, was sort of the good Japanese restaurants. All the retailers just had the odd bottle. It wasn't stored properly. Nobody knew what to do with it. The distributors probably, tell tell the retailers and, on trade, off trade, what to do, but it's not done. And I do remember, even like in 2017, 18, I would go into a Japanese restaurant and there were Junmai Daiginjo bottles full, unopened, sitting on shelves in a restaurant. And we all know that's something you
Right.
cannot do. So, but today, if you go to any retail outlet, any restaurant, you will see, sake is actually stored properly in the right conditions. And I can only say that's probably thanks to educators, thanks to trainers. Don't get it wrong. I mean, being an educator, I'm only teaching one sector. There are um, people who've gone to Japan to train on the sake service, how to store, how
Hmm.
to use, whatever. And there are a lot more of us now there to make sure that the wider community gets proper, good condition sakes. I mean, you were a judge at IWC this
Hmm.
year. You probably saw how good the quality of sake has
Oh yeah.
become. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you probably also saw how well they were stored. There were not that many faults. Seriously, there were very few faults. I mean, that was one
Yeah.
thing. When I first taught sake, I felt the whole course never really talked about faults. All we knew was
Hmm.
hine, namahine, two things. But
Yeah.
there are faults. But you can see why. There's not, in the sake world, everybody's so careful. The Japanese as a nation are so fastidious and so into making sure everything is perfect. That there isn't much faults. And what
No.
else can I say? Again, looking at the competition, a lot of the sakes were different. I'm sure you sort of
Mhm.
tasted some categories where you sort of thought, "Ooh, really?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
this is
Exactly.
where what I said, is the more modern style. People are playing, no different to wines. I mean, I'm going to use the sort of like equivalent, the Riojas. Now, in when I first started doing Rioja, Old Star Rioja Tempranillo, it's a Rioja. You taste one smell, you can't get it wrong. But today, Tempranillos can be anything. I mean, sorry, Riojas can be anything. They can be, loads of varieties of grapes can be used. Whereas when it first started, you couldn't. So with sake, same thing. The Tojis are now playing, and I think it's fantastic. They're playing with new ideas. They themselves are learning, and we're getting a lot more fun sake styles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree because I was walking today during lunchtime
Mm.
and I passed by three, four places
Hmm.
selling or serving sake,
Oh,
which is Yeah,
Wow.
which is amazing. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Now that's amazing because, I mean, 5, 6 years ago, the only place you could buy sake was in sort of a very typical Japanese supermarket or, well, food
yeah,
outlet, and probably
exactly.
a more premium style food outlet. And possibly a couple of the cheaper ones, cheaper sakes could be found in a Chinese supermarket. But today,
Mm,
you're right. Um, but sadly, none of the big supermarkets are selling sake properly yet. And
yeah,
I'm not sure why, but one day, Alex, the more people we
yeah.
teach,
Hopefully,
the more
yeah,
people we get drinking sake, it'll open it
exactly.
out a lot wider. I mean, my biggest sort of, soapbox, derby is, why do pubs not serve sake? I don't want to drink this cheap house wine that I always
Yeah,
end up ordering
yeah,
because there's nothing else I drink. Come on,
yeah.
put a nice futsu there. There's some amazing futsus. We've got the new trophy from is it Watanabe? Watanabe won it again, I think.
Oh yeah.
Gifu. I think
Oh,
they
they've
won
got
the
amazing
trophy again,
food.
right?
So
Why
good for
don't
yeah.
pubs start serving that? Please. I want that. I really want that.
Well, probably one day.
Yeah. Or I bring my own little hip flask with sake in it.
Yeah, and sip on it.
Indeed. That's the other thing. I mean, nowadays, I'd rather pay corkage, bring my own bottle of sake to any restaurant to
Mm,
drink. And
yeah,
a majority of the restaurants do let me open the bottle.
really.
Um,
Mm,
Many actually let me off and not charge me a corkage because they don't serve sake. So that's something maybe readers should push a bit more, because even if I'm eating fish and chips in a I don't care cafe, I'd love a little glass of sake to go with it.
yeah,
And if I bring
yeah,
my own, I'm happy to pay. Let me pay corkage and I'll drink. And I'll be honest, quite a few restaurants now allow me to do that. And I think we should
yeah,
we should push a lot more for
yeah.
that,
We probably should do that. Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
exactly.
don't see why not.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I think we it's definitely there is a progress here
Mm,
because even when I started drinking sake, and it was not long time ago, like 5 years ago,
mm.
it was completely different scene. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be good.
But what about? I mean, London. Obviously, it's a capital. It's very cosmopolitan. Everything new happens in London, appears in London. What about outside London? What about
Hmm.
other European countries? What is happening there?
Okay.
Because you do international judging as well. You do
I do.
quite
I
a
do.
lot, so
I
you
don't
should
judge
know.
sake anywhere else other than
Hmm.
IWC. I'll make that very clear now. But you're right. I was in Barcelona. I do travel a bit. I do bring a bottle of sake with me wherever I go. One or
Hmm.
two bottles. It does come with me. Berlin is now opened up. There's a lot more sake available. There are a few different outlets, and as I say, do go and visit Sarah Stein. Her little place is called Nomu Sake Bar in downtown
Hmm.
Berlin. Sorry, I'm plugging you, Sarah, because I think you're amazing. So she's got a fabulous place, and she's actually opening up a bottle shop. So she will be selling amazing, well kept sakes. Barcelona, a lot of the restaurants are now serving sake, thanks to Antonio. And
Hmm.
his sakes that he brews in Barcelona is sold out just within the local Barcelona area. Okay,
Hmm.
so he's got the market, and so definitely look at that. And then where else? Paris. Paris has got a very good sake community with K. Obviously, he's got some fantastic sakes, and a lot of the restaurants have it. Even here in London, I hear La Gavroche has caved in. They
Oh,
have
really?
now taken on two sakes at La Gavroche.
Wow.
And I was just talking to Reme, who is the
Hmm.
manager there, just a couple of nights ago, and he said, "Marie, I've got two sakes now." So there you go.
Wow.
So La Gavroche
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
caved in. They've got two sakes, and I think they will bring in a few more sakes. New York, obviously, I was in San Francisco. You could get
Oh, yeah.
sakes easily. Napa Valley, I was there. Even the wine restaurants, the better restaurants all have sakes. They've got some fabulous sakes there. Where else? Malaysia. has now, although being Muslim, a Muslim country,
Hmm.
has got a very good selection of sakes. Again, thanks to Thomas Ling. Singapore, we've got a good bunch there with people like Adrian and Sean and people like that. Australia, you've got Melissa,
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really sort of pushing sake, and Yokino-san, she's doing very, very well,
Hmm.
and of course Lee as well out there, and Ake up in Sweden, he's been championing sake for years, doing a fantastic job. And then Simon Hofstra in Netherlands, he's really pushing
Hmm.
it. Where else? France, we looked at France. Switzerland, you've got Arlene there now, who's also
Yeah,
championing
I mean,
sake.
yeah.
So yeah, I think in Europe we're doing
Yeah.
pretty well. And the last one, I have to say this before we sign off. I met a professor of wine from
Hmm.
Romania. Okay,
Hmm.
and she runs the wine department there, and she loves her sake, and she
Hmm.
wrote a book on sake 10 years ago, no, 12 years ago, 2010. So even Romania has a book on
Wow.
sake,
Yeah.
okay, written by Professor Arina Antoce, okay, and
Hmm.
she's actually given me a copy of it. Of course, I can't read it, but just going
Yeah.
through it, all the tables were perfect, all her, classifications, styles, it's all in,
Yeah.
Romanian, but she knows her sake inside out. So I can see a lot happening. I think Poland also, if I'm not mistaken, Warsaw, there's a lot going on in Poland on
Mm.
sake. So even
Okay.
Eastern
Yeah.
Europe has got it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. I think, obviously, in this environment, I think with interest for sake is growing. I think sake education is one of the main tools to
The key to push
move.
it along.
Yeah, exactly. The key tool to move sake
Mm,
into, let's say, masses
yeah.
and let people know. Because if you learn about sake, you probably tell all your friends about it,
Yes.
and it's like yeast multiplying.
Yes. Yes. That's a nice one. Yes.
Exactly, fermentation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. By the billions. I
yeah,
was just going to quote how many yeast cells there are in a moromi of, they're gonna, I'm not going to do that anymore. I won't be able to say it right because it's 10 to the power of, I think
yeah,
hundreds. But no, you're absolutely right. Without education, we can't actually create a community. And I'm here with BSA and the British Sake Association. I'm here. I would love to be able to introduce sakes to a lot more people. I've got a fantastic, fantastic committee who are all committed to
yeah.
sharing their sake knowledge. I'm also, by the way, creating a new area. As you know, I've started a sake study group for the BSA for the more geeky people, but I'm also sort of challenging Henry, who's going to be taking it over, to create a page on our website, sort of like stupendous sakes of the year. So
Mm,
heading on
yeah,
to recommendations, why, what, where, a picture of the bottle, where you can buy it, how much it costs, and then we will have the BSA emblem recommended by our members,
yeah. Sounds
for
great.
members and the public. So I hope something like that would encourage people to read, buy, and drink more sake. And I hope your viewers will come on board and help us create this new page. And
Yeah.
I'm going to start it off with just 20 stupendous sakes, but I mean,
Hmm.
it can go on to hundreds. We could do it yearly. I'm not sure, but it'll all be sort of guided by what members and people out there want. So join us for that very interesting page that Henry, are you listening? You're going to be making sure it happens.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So, talking about recommendations, at the end of each episode, I
Oh,
ask my guests to recommend some sake. So, would
Alex,
you
you're
like to
putting me
recommend
on the
something?
spot. You are really putting me on the spot. I'm a writer. I'm a freelance writer, freelance educator, freelance. And as a writer, reporter, correspondent, blogger, I really shouldn't be recommending any one sake. So this is what I'm going to say. The last sake I drank that I really enjoyed. How about that? Okay, we're going to use that
Yeah,
that I
sounds
really
good.
enjoyed
Yeah,
in the
we
last
don't
month.
call it recommendations. We call it like a featuring.
Okay,
It's a featuring sake.
okay. So the one that I really enjoyed out of the blue, blew my mind, almost fell off the seat, was no other than Kampai. Tom, are you listening? Tom Wilson, your newest brew, the Namazake that you offered me in a bottle. I had to drink a whole bottle for myself because it was so good. And I think when I tried it, you had literally just sort of pressed the first ever batch. So I don't know what you call it. I don't know what it's called, but you've probably now bottled it, and it's got a label. But it's a junmai. It's a namazake, fresh, straight out of Tom's Kampai Brewery in London. How's that?
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah, it's amazing conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. I knew quite a lot of new things. I'm not going to mention your dress.
No, no, you just done it. You just done it. You just done it. But yeah,
But
moral of the story, don't wear a very expensive dress if you have to drink sake from a masu and still take a pinch of salt.
yeah, it's a great tip of the episode. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming to the podcast. Thanks a lot for talking about sake education, about yourself. I think it's very good topic, and I hope that a lot of people who listen to the episode will join the our ranks of sake enthusiasts.
Yes, I hope so. And sorry, excuse my little Westie. He goes everywhere with me, so he had to have the last say. But Alex, thank you very much. Arigato gozaimashita for your inviting me, and for your listeners out there. All I want to say is my door is always open. Do come and talk to me. I won't bite. I'm very friendly. Offer me a glass of sake, and I certainly will sit with you for hours. Um, and I hope to see you at one of our BSA events, or I hope to meet you at some tasting somewhere, be it in London, some little village somewhere around the world. And I just like to say hello. Come up, let's have a little hello. That's all I want, and a kampai with a glass of sake. Okay,
Okay, yeah,
Alex,
great.
thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's it for today. I'll be back with the final episode of the Emergence of Sake series and a few very interesting interviews. Unfortunately, the sake Marie was talking about is not available in the form she was drinking it, but I will talk about it at one of our upcoming episodes. In the meantime, buy a bottle of any Kanpai sake, they all are great. They are available either directly from the brewery's website, I will put the link in the show notes, or from the London Sake website, where you can get a 10% discount by entering Sugidama, all in caps, at the checkout, or Kampai Sake is available at many other shops, online and offline. So have a look. If you have any questions or suggestions about any sake topic, just drop me a line. My email address is alex@sugidama.co.uk, or you can tag me on Instagram or Twitter at sugidamablog in one word. Again, if you like the episode and want more, hit the subscribe button, and you will get every new episode downloaded to your player as soon as it's out. Leave a review if you have time. It's easy and doesn't require you to write War and Peace, just a few sentences. You can do it either on Apple Podcasts or on the Podchaser website. The link to my page there is in the show notes. If you use Spotify, please rate Sugidama podcast there. Share this podcast with your friends on your social media and chat apps. Many people mention a friend's recommendation as a reason for listening to a particular podcast. So you can be that friend and introduce your friends to the amazing world of sake and support Sugidama podcast at the same time. Thanks a lot for listening. Kampai.
Suge, 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 Sugidama blog. Suge, 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 Sugidama blog.